He was calm, polite, until the talk show host disrespected him. But what Ibrahim Traoré said next left the entire audience in dead silence. And that was just the beginning. The lights in the studio were bright. Cameras pointed in every direction. The audience clapped as the popular talk show host walked on stage with a big fake smile. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso stepped onto the stage. He wore a simple African outfit, calm and proud. The clapping grew louder. Some people even stood up. But the talk show host didn't look impressed. "Welcome, President Traoré," the host said, smirking. "Or should I say, freedom fighter?" The audience laughed a little, unsure if it was a joke or an insult. Ibrahim simply nodded. "I've heard people call you a hero," the host continued, rolling his eyes. "But don't you think it's dangerous to lead like a revolutionary in today's world? What are you trying to be? Superman?" The room fell silent, but Ibrahim didn't raise his voice. He just leaned forward, looked straight into the host's eyes and said, "I'm not trying to be Superman. I'm just trying to stop the bleeding of my people. If that makes me strange to you, maybe you've been sitting too long in comfort." The audience gasped. The host stuttered, trying to change the subject. But you kicked out foreign forces. Doesn't that make you a threat?" Ibrahim smiled, then stood up slowly and faced the crowd. "Let me ask the audience," he said gently. "If a guest comes to your house, eats your food, breaks your door, and tells you how to raise your children, is that a guest or a thief?" Silence. Then someone clapped. Then another. Within seconds, the room exploded with applause. The host sat there frozen, unsure what to say. Ibrahim continued calmly. The clapping went on for almost a full minute. Ibrahim Traoré didn't smile proudly. He just stood there with the same calm face, waiting for the noise to die down. When the applause faded, the host tried to recover. Okay, he said, forcing a laugh. "That was poetic. But surely you must know you're upsetting some powerful people with your decisions." Ibrahim nodded. "Of course I do. But I didn't come to lead Burkina Faso to please powerful people. I came to protect the poor farmer whose children sleep on an empty stomach. I came for the schoolgirl walking 10 kilometers to learn the alphabet. And I came for the mother who cries at night because she can't afford medicine for her child." The camera zoomed in on the audience. Some people were wiping tears from their eyes. Others sat frozen, leaning forward, holding their breath. The host shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "But how do you expect to succeed when you're going against systems that have existed for decades?" Ibrahim looked straight at him and replied, "Some systems were built to keep us down. Just because a chain is old doesn't mean it should remain around your neck." Gasps again. People started whispering to one another. The host laughed nervously. "Well, President Traoré, I have to say, you talk like a man ready for war." Ibrahim gently shook his head. "No, I talk like a man who's tired of war, but even more tired of silence. We don't want to fight, but we won't kneel." The room fell silent again. Then something unexpected happened. A young woman from the audience raised her hand and stood up. "Sir," she said shakily, "I came here thinking you were just another politician, but now I see you're fighting for people like me. I work 2 jobs and still can't send money back home to my family in Ouagadougou. Thank you for giving us hope." Ibrahim nodded respectfully to her, and then he walked down from the stage, not waiting to be dismissed. The cameras followed him. The host just sat there, speechless. The audience was on its feet again, cheering, clapping, some crying. And just before Ibrahim walked out of the studio, he paused, looked over his shoulder and said, "Africa will rise, not with noise, but with action. Watch us." He opened the studio doors and walked out into the night. But something was waiting for him outside. Outside the studio, the air was cool and the street was quiet. But just as Ibrahim Traoré stepped through the door, a black SUV screeched to a stop in front of him. His security detail moved quickly, forming a protective circle. One of them whispered, "Sir, we didn't call that vehicle." The doors of the SUV opened slowly. Out stepped a man in a gray suit. His face was pale, his hair neatly combed. He didn't look like a local. He walked confidently toward Ibrahim and said, "President Traore, my name is Mr. Collins. I represent people with global interests. Can we talk?" Ibrahim didn't flinch. "I don't speak for global interests. I speak for the people of Burkina Faso." Mr. Collins gave a dry smile. "Exactly. That's the problem." The security team stepped closer, but Ibrahim raised a hand. "Let him speak." Mr. Collins looked around, then spoke in a low voice. "You're becoming too loud, Mr. President. Too many people are watching you. Young Africans are listening to your words. And that makes some governments very nervous." Ibrahim didn't blink. "Then let them be nervous." Mr. Collins leaned closer. "We can make your life easier. We can offer your country loans, military equipment, even international media support. But you must slow down. Ease up on the speeches. Stop encouraging resistance." Ibrahim looked him dead in the eyes. "You want me to betray my people for a loan and a camera smile?" Mr. Collins's face darkened. "Be careful, President. We've made other leaders disappear for less." Ibrahim took a deep breath, then smiled slowly. "I am not other leaders. And if you know our history, then you know we don't fear death. We fear dying without honor." Without another word, he turned and walked away. The SUV door slammed shut. Mr. Collins stood there, his jaw tight, making a call on a secure phone. Inside the studio, news was already spreading. Ibrahim's words had gone viral. Young people across Africa were sharing clips of the interview. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag Rise Africa. Hashtag Traore Voice. Hashtag We Are Not Afraid. And far away, in a dim office filled with satellite monitors and blinking red lights, a group of men in suits stared at a big screen showing Ibrahim's face. One of them said, "He's gaining momentum. What do we do next?" Another replied coldly, "It's time to activate Plan Echo." But they didn't know. Ibrahim already had a plan of his own. Deep in a secured compound just outside Ouagadougou, under the shade of thick baobab trees, Ibrahim Traoré met with his closest advisors in a private briefing room lit by solar lamps. The walls were lined with maps, documents, and a large screen showing trending social media tags. His face was serious, but his voice calm. "They've already begun," he said. "First, they try to scare me with threats. Next, they'll try to divide us from within." An advisor leaned forward. "Mr. President, what is Plan Echo?" Ibrahim glanced around the room, making sure every ear was listening. Then he said, "Plan Echo is their attempt to create confusion. They will spread lies, sponsor fake protests, and even use our own people to attack our unity. They will paint me as a dictator, a warmonger, anything that fits their script." Another advisor spoke up. "So what do? We do what they don't expect," Ibrahim said. "We educate our people. We speak with truth. We don't hide. We let the people become the shield and the sword." Suddenly, a young soldier rushed in with a tablet. "Sir, this just came in from Mali. There's a leaked video." He placed the tablet on the table. Everyone gathered around. On the screen, a high-ranking foreign official was caught on camera admitting to sponsoring media campaigns to discredit West African leaders, including Ibrahim. The room went quiet. Ibrahim looked at the video, then whispered, "They've made their move." He stood up slowly. "Then it's time for ours." Hours later, Ibrahim released a short video across all platforms. No fancy background, no suit, just him in a simple cotton shirt, speaking directly to the people. "My brothers and sisters of Africa, they think they can control our minds with money. They think they can own our voices through fear. But I tell you today, we are awake. Let them come. We are no longer kneeling." The video exploded across TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp groups, and local radio. From small villages to big cities, people shouted his name. But while the people were cheering, the enemies were plotting. That same night, in a luxury hotel in Senegal, a man named Moussa Diallo received a mysterious call. He was a former soldier. and he had once worked for a foreign intelligence agency. The voice on the phone was cold. "You know what to do. Stop Traore." Quietly, Musa replied with a wicked smile. "Consider it done." But what Musa didn't know was that someone else was already watching him in the shadows of the bustling streets of Dakar. Musa Diallo packed a small black bag. Inside it was everything he needed: false ID cards, untraceable currency, and a silenced pistol wrapped in cloth. He was a ghost, trained by people who didn't officially exist, paid to erase problems. And now, Ibrahim Traoré was his new target. But across the city, in a small, windowless internet cafe, a young woman named Aissatou was watching his every move through hidden cameras. She wasn't a spy. She wasn't military. She was something far more dangerous to men like Musa, a digital warrior. Aissatou had once been recruited to work with foreign data teams. But when she discovered their mission to destabilize African countries from within, she disappeared. Now, she worked in secret, helping leaders who stood for truth like Ibrahim. She tapped her keyboard quickly. Target is heading toward Ouagadougou. He's using the old rebel routes. Back in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim sat in a dusty courtyard with elders from 6 different villages. No cameras, no advisors, just men and women with wrinkled hands and clear eyes. "My father told me," one elder said, "never trust a man who smiles while your house is burning." The group nodded. One of the women leaned forward. "We trust you, Traore, but we also know the storm is coming. They will not stop at threats." Ibrahim answered, "Then we won't stop at hope." Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A message from Aissatou lit up the screen. "Assassin inbound. 2 days out. Name, Musa Diallo." Ibrahim didn't flinch. He passed the phone to his security chief. "Bring him in alive if you can. I want to look him in the eyes." Meanwhile, Musa crossed the border under heavy rain. He blended into the crowd like a shadow. Every step brought him closer to his mission. Every breath was calculated. But what Musa didn't know was this: he was not hunting Traore. Traore was setting a trap for him. In a quiet guest house outside Ouagadougou, a room had been prepared. Cameras in every corner, microphones in the walls, and a team waiting in silence. The bait? A man pretending to be a corrupt government insider. A fake deal. A meeting arranged through secret channels. Musa took the bait. He walked in and closed the door behind him. The door clicked shut behind Musa Diallo. The room was dimly lit, with only a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. A man sat at a table in the middle, pretending to be nervous. He wore a suit, glasses, and looked every bit like a frightened government official ready to betray his own president. Musa stepped forward, his voice cold. "You have 10 minutes. Give me the details." The man slid a folder across the table. "Traore will be in a convoy on Route 7 tomorrow morning. No military escort, just civilian cars. He trusts the people too much." Musa smiled slightly. That's his weakness, trust. But as he reached for the folder, the lights blasted on. The walls suddenly slid open. Dozens of armed men surrounded him. Red lights blinked from hidden cameras. "Put your hands where I can see them," a voice boomed. Musa didn't panic. He raised his hands, calm as ever. "So it's a trap. Clever." Ibrahim Traoré walked into the room, slowly, with no weapon in hand, just his presence. He stood face to face with Musa. "You've been trained to kill men like me." Musa nodded. "Yes. But why do it?" Ibrahim asked. "Do you believe I'm the enemy?" Musa's eyes flickered. "I believe nothing is free, and your voice is costing powerful people too much." Ibrahim looked him in the eye. "Then you're not just fighting me. You're fighting the spirit of Africa. And that fight you've already lost." Musa didn't reply. Aissatou, watching from a nearby room, sent out a secure message to the global whistleblower network. "Assassin caught. Proof of foreign plot secured. Prepare global release." Hours later, news broke across the world. Leaked audio, video, and classified documents, all showing a coordinated plan to destabilize West African leadership. From Kenya to Ghana, youth hit the streets peacefully, holding signs that read, "We are not puppets. Africa will speak for herself." Traore is not alone. Even global celebrities started reacting. A famous Nigerian singer tweeted, "Respect to Ibrahim Traoré. They tried to silence him. Now the world is listening." But just when the world thought the worst was over, a secret meeting was held in a cold underground bunker in Europe. Several powerful men sat around a long table. One of them spoke. If Plan Echo failed, move to Phase 2. Another replied, deploy the media blackout, then activate the proxy conflict. Let chaos begin. But what they didn't know, Traore had already united 5 African nations in secret. And they were ready. The secret alliance was called the Black Shield. It wasn't announced on TV. There were no red carpets, no fancy speeches. Just 5 leaders from Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Niger, and Chad meeting under a moonless sky in a hidden desert compound near Agadez. They didn't meet as presidents. They met as brothers. Ibrahim Traoré stood in the center. They have satellites, spies, and influence, he said. But we have land, people, truth, and time. That is enough to win. President Goita of Mali nodded. If we stand alone, they'll crush us. But if we stand as one, their hands will shake before they touch us. Each man placed his hand on a stone slab carved with the words, "One Africa, no chains." The Black Shield was born. Meanwhile, in major cities across the West, the media blackout began. News channels that once shouted Traoré's name suddenly went silent. Online videos about the leaked assassination plot were taken down. Social media algorithms were quietly altered to bury African resistance stories. But it was too late. The people were already awake. Street murals of Ibrahim and the Black Shield leaders began popping up from Bamako to Bissau. Young men wore t-shirts that read, "We are the Shield." University students hosted forums on digital resistance. Farmers refused to sell land to foreign investors. Even school children started learning the names of African revolutionaries like never before. Still, the enemy didn't rest. In a far-off capital, a room full of defense contractors and political operatives rolled out Phase 2, proxy conflict. They planned to arm a rebel group in northern Burkina Faso and spread the lie that it was a tribal war, an internal crisis. The goal was simple: divide the people, break the shield. But what they didn't count on was that Aissatou had already hacked their communications. She had names, coordinates, shipping routes, funding trails, and she passed them straight to Traoré's digital command unit, a team of young African tech experts operating in secrecy from an underground center nicknamed the Drum. Ibrahim watched the intel come in, then turned to his team. "Let them come," he said. "We won't just defend Africa this time. We will expose everything." As dawn broke over Ouagadougou, Traoré stood before a silent camera and recorded a message. Not just for his people, but for the world. "They tried to kill the story, but the story is not mine. It's yours. They tried to light fires in our villages, but now we are the flame. Let every African hear me today." Ibrahim Traoré stood tall as the camera rolled, his voice steady and rich with power. "Let every African hear me today. We are not fighting the world. We are fighting the lies they told us about ourselves. That we are weak. That we are meant to kneel. But now we rise. And we rise as one." The message exploded across the internet. Even with the media blackout, people found ways to share it: Bluetooth, memory cards, handwritten transcripts. Taxi drivers played it through their radios. Teachers read it to students in classrooms. Market women whispered it to each other between selling tomatoes and onions. But just as Africa was beginning to feel a new kind of hope, the final attack came. A convoy of armed mercenaries, disguised as local rebels, rolled into northern Burkina Faso. Their goal: burn villages, blame the government, cause panic. The world would see chaos, and the enemies would demand international intervention. But this time, they were expected. Dozens of local communities had already been trained by the Black Shield's Unity Guards, volunteer defense teams led by retired soldiers, hunters, and villagers. They didn't run. They stood. Elders rang drums. Youths formed barricades. Women shouted instructions. The attack failed in hours. The mercenaries were captured. And when their identities were confirmed, foreign passports, foreign funding, foreign plans, Ibrahim made the boldest move of all. He invited global media to Burkina Faso. And this time they came, because the story was too big to hide. Standing at a dusty podium in front of the captured mercenaries, Traore spoke into dozens of microphones. Here are your rebels, sent by those who claimed to be our friends. They wanted Africa to burn, but instead we found each other. And now the world must know, Africa is awake. Months later, Burkina Faso's economy had begun to rise. Youth employment surged as agriculture, clean energy, and tech programs grew. Other African nations joined the Black Shield. Together, they created a new trading system, no longer tied to foreign currencies. Ibrahim Traoré didn't seek praise. He didn't seek re-election campaigns or gold statues. He kept walking in the markets, sitting with the poor, listening to the people. One day, a little boy approached him and asked, "Mr. President, are you afraid they'll try again?" Ibrahim smiled, bent down and said, "They can try, but now I don't stand alone. We all stand." The boy smiled back and ran off. And as the sun set over Ouagadougou, one thing became clear. They tried to silence him, but Ibrahim Traoré didn't just survive. He started something that could never be stopped, a fire inside every African heart. True leadership is not about power. It's about service, courage, and truth. When a leader dares to speak for the people, and the people dare to stand beside him, no enemy, no matter how powerful, can break them. Would you like a video hook, image prompt, or YouTube description for this story?